know someone who has ADHD? Well, ADHD is actually a pretty common neurodevelopmental disorder that affects a lot of the people that we know in our day-to-day lives. Now, today I'm going to be talking to you about the different symptoms, treatments, and how you can get tested if you think you might have ADHD yourself. Because while I'm sure that most of us in here have at least heard of it, probably not many of us have actually looked further into what it's like to have it. So, starting off with symptoms. Whenever you think of ADHD, most of you are going to think of the little kid in the corner of the class just jumping around, bouncing off the walls. Teacher had to stick him there because of he was distracting everyone, right? Well, according to the Center of Disease Control in 2024, that's actually only one of the 3 different types of ADHD. There is hyperactive, impulsive, inattentive, and combined. Now, the one that I described is hyperactive, impulsive. That is actually what I have. So, for example, I will constantly be fidgeting with my dress. I will be trying to talk with my friends, and they'll take a breath in or something, and I thought that they finished their turn. So I was like, okay, now it's my turn to speak. No, it very much was not actually my turn to speak, and then they had more to say. They just ran out of air to talk with. So I was standing there just on the side, just okay, my bad. I swear I didn't mean it. But then you have inattentive. They're more just daydreaming and forgetfulness. Basically, they're just the less hyperactive side of the scale. Combined, they get the best of both worlds. They have both the inattentive and hyperactive impulsive sides. Now, these symptoms are noticed in early childhood, however, they last well into your adulthood. Now, with that being said, you might look at a lot of adults you have who say they have ADHD, but then you don't see them exhibiting any of the symptoms. That's because they probably got really good with managing their treatment. And for treatment, you can either have medication, or you can even go behavioral therapy. For medication, there are 2 different types, stimulants and non-stimulants. Non-stimulants, they take a while to build up in your body, 3 to 4 weeks of taking the medicine daily at specific times. However, once your body gets used to it after that 3 to 4 week period, that's going to be working around the clock. So you're not going to have to worry about the medicine wearing off as you would with stimulants. Now, stimulants, you typically take it once or twice a day, depending on if you have extended release, which lasts for 8 hours, versus short relief, which lasts for 4. Now, as with any medication, there are side effects. And according to the Cleveland Clinic in 2022, about 80% of people who they surveyed actually reported having a loss of appetite alongside taking their ADHD medication. Along with this is something called rebound, which is something more common with the 8-hour medication. This is where, as the day goes on and the medication starts to wear out, the person who's taken the medicine, they'll either get really hyperactive or they'll get really drowsy as the day goes on. There's not really any way to tell if you're going to get any of those side effects, but if you get rebound, you can take a shorter 4-hour medication in order to try to weave off the effects to get you through school or work. Now, getting tested. You have to start by looking for the symptoms. And you might be wondering, where can I find these symptoms? Well, luckily, there's this amazing thing called the DSM-5. Now, that is what's used by most psychologists and stuff to figure out any neurodevelopmental disorders, along with even mental health issues. It's a great resource, honestly. Now, typically they say you should look for these symptoms before the age of 12, and you should at least be exhibiting 1 to 2 symptoms for at least 6 months in each category that they have. And this is according to the National Library of Medicine in 2016. Whenever you do figure out that you think you have these symptoms, you need to go to a doctor. Whether it is your family doctor, who can then send you to a psychiatrist, or you can go to a psychiatrist off of that. They'll be able to help you and figure out what you need to do in order to get your symptoms treated. Now, today I talked to you about the different symptoms, treatments, and how to get tested if you think you might have ADHD. Now, this quote means a lot to me. Martin Luther King. If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. Now, if you can't, whatever you have to do, you have to keep moving forward.